Hello and welcome to new and returning viewers. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, and I will be talking about living the dream, or what that means for me. You may be wondering why I have two crystals in front of me. These are blue howlite, and the color blue is related to the throat chakra and communication. I'll be talking more about crystals and chakras and energy in upcoming videos. I like to hold the blue howlite when I'm making videos as one, it works as a touchstone, so if I get nervous or stuck for words, then rubbing my finger along this crystal helps me to refocus and get back on track. If you've seen my recent videos, you know that I have a stack of books that are waiting to be summarized and waiting to have videos made about them. I have my books on this handy wheelie cart and I have notes in them, so they're just waiting to go. I also keep my ideas, everything in the files. But today I want to talk about and focus on living the dream, which I realized based on a number of different events this past week, I definitely am. And I need to keep my perspective in that place. I also want to explain why I don't have a TBR list and how reading works for me. If you've seen my video on bookcase tour, then you're aware that I have a number of different books that cover a variety of subjects. If you've seen my channel page, the About section, you also know that I am definitely a bookaholic. And when I followed through on making a mastered list, as my husband suggested, to try and get my bookcases organized, I began organizing, putting my books together, and my goal for this past year has been to reread books in my personal library. That library definitely increased as I got caught up in the wheel of time, so there was 14 additional books that I hadn't planned on reading when I began my goal. I also ended up reading the entire House of Night series, which was 12 books. I own one, and thanks to my public library, I was able to borrow the other 11 and complete that. So I'm a little behind on my personal reading. I don't have a set TBR list ever. If I'm researching a subject, then I like following up on different things. When I'm picking what I'm going to read next, sometimes it's a book that's recommended by other people, which is why I'm very much enjoying my connections on Goodreads and a number of titles that I'll be looking forward to reading in 2023. But when I'm at home and trying to decide where am I going next, I take a look through all my bookcases and I try and decide what it is that's calling to me or giving me some kind of indication that it's time to read it. Let me know in the comments below if that's how you pick your next good read as well. Because personally, I always find that the books I pick up are what I need to read the most at that particular time. Whether it's fiction and I just need some time to kind of chill out and travel somewhere else, or whether there's simply some information that I need to read to help me get my perspective and my thoughts back on track and back in a positive place. When I was out last week, I found this particular shirt and I had to get it. Living the Dream. One, because I love the message, and two, because it reminded me of a coworker and a number of years ago when we were talking about living the dream, as we both have a sense of sarcasm. It would have been a typical crazy, off the wall kind of day, and just to kind of make ourselves laugh, we would say, yep, living the dream. Now, in November 2022, and based on a variety of different events over the past week, I realize I actually am living my dream, and I'm not being sarcastic about it. It's quite genuine. The books that I'll be mentioning shortly also affirmed all of that. I was involved in getting my knitting project completed for a customer, and I'm happy to say I am very close, just a few hours away from completing that. I was also reading as I'm trying to work towards my goal on Goodreads for 100 books by the end of December. And through all of that, and I've also been trying to think of where to go and what to do with my channel, as the growth seems to be small, but I'm also considering all the different things I've had to learn in terms of editing and making connections and networking. Me being on video out there on the internet is huge. I'm actually very quite shy and quiet, especially when I'm around people I don't know. Taking the risk and making videos and putting them out to the public has been huge because typically I don't even like getting into pictures. I much prefer being behind a camera and taking photos or making movies of my silly kids or my yard and nature and other beautiful areas around where I live. In December 2021, I made the decision to close my business. There were a lot of different reasons for that, between COVID and Reiki and reflexology being considered personal care rather than health care or alternate care. So I'd been closed for a number of months. There were just a whole lot of things, and I decided it was time to go searching for something else. That something else is YouTube. I'm very grateful to my husband, not just because we've been together for 35 years and we celebrated our anniversary in October, but because he's so wonderful and supportive. And he got me a refurb MacBook Air, which has made editing so much easier and so much better than trying to figure out video editor. So in terms of living the dream, this past week there was a possible job opportunity that just came up out of the blue. I wasn't looking for it. And I decided, well, maybe since the universe has brought this to my attention, it's worth giving it a try. So I got everything together, my resume, for the first time in I can't remember how long, my cover letter just flowed within half an hour. Typically, I find them very difficult to put together. I made the phone calls as this particular job needed particular references. When I was out and about, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I follow animal guides and different signs and omens. So as I was thinking about this particular job opportunity, I noticed a white feather. For me, feathers are an indication that I'm on the right track and moving in the right direction. So how does all of this tie in with these 4 particular books? The 3 people that I had reached out to for references, it's now day 4, never returned my phone call. And to be quite honest, I am immensely grateful to each of them. It turns out that although there was some interest in that particular job, and there was some excitement about it, as it was the type of work that I've done in the past, the universe in so many ways told me it's time to shut that door permanently and just keep looking forward and moving forward. Whether that means that my YouTube channel is ever going to take off, I don't know. But the upside is, as I've been reading books, making videos, it's given me purpose and a reason to get out of bed in the mornings. And for me, that's huge because there are a lot of different reasons that I'm not going to get into in this video. Suffice it to say that sometimes getting up and getting moving isn't always the easiest thing to do. I now find that thanks to making videos and having something to work towards, I have a purpose each day, so I actually look forward to starting my day and where am I going to go and what am I going to focus on today. That all comes back to living the dream. For me, living the dream means one, I'm blessed that I don't have to wake up with an alarm clock. I'm blessed to have two fur children, Xena and Panther, who you may have met if you've watched some of my other videos. I am super blessed to have an amazing husband, and in October we just celebrated our 35th anniversary. And I truly cannot say enough about how grateful I am for the support and encouragement that he has given me throughout our entire marriage together, whether I've been working as a case manager, an educational assistant, trying to make a go of having a holistic practice with energy and reflexology, and now on to this new journey of YouTube. So I very much appreciate him and his ongoing support. I'm also blessed and grateful for the fact that we have a home and an incredible yard that I've certainly put a lot of time and energy into over our 35 years here. As people who have visited my yard have always said, the vibrations there are amazing, and watching the different visitors that we have, the diversity of life that's out there. And I'm very grateful for it because it's very important to me. And that yard is designed for nature. So, how do all these books come in with all those amazing blessings and living the dream? Frequency is by Penny Pierce, and a book that I had read a few years ago, and I almost considered putting it into my donation box. It isn't that I didn't enjoy her writing style or the information, it wasn't resonating, it wasn't clicking at the time. I picked this up last week and I began reading it, and this time everything made sense. Next, I picked up Cosmic Messengers. This is by Elizabeth Peru, and like Frequency, it almost went into the donate box. Again, it isn't that I didn't enjoy the information or the writing style, it just wasn't clicking for me at the time. Thankfully, I kept both of these books, and having read them now, they have both totally resonated. I very much enjoyed the read, and it made a big difference to my perspective and certainly looking how events have unfolded in this past week. And instead of being sad or upset that these people didn't get back to me or that that particular job opportunity didn't come to be, and it has made me very aware that I'm living the dream. There's another book that I had started after Cosmic Messengers, The Practical Psychic. And it's an interesting read, and I will get back to it. But for some reason, the other day, it just didn't feel like that's what I needed to be reading. Part of the reason for that is, as I mentioned earlier, while I was thinking about this particular job and whether it was something I should pursue, consider, and I found the white feather, 2 days later, when it became very obvious that I wouldn't be able to apply because I didn't have the specific references that I needed, because as I mentioned, these 3 people haven't got back to me, I began to wonder, okay, so if this wasn't meant to be, what was the message from the white feather? It didn't make sense to me, and I was thinking about that in the morning. I ended up that afternoon, The Power of Angel Medicine by Joanne Brokus. I think you can see that there, and I've circled white feather. Now remember, I started reading this hours after I was asking about what was the message, what was the point of the white feather, because it obviously wasn't about applying for this particular job. Evidential angelic sign. This is on page 40 of her book. You will most likely receive the sign of a white feather either the same day or within a few days of asking. The white feather is the most universally accepted angel sign because most people tend to picture angels as celestial-looking humans with white feathered wings. This was definitely the book that I needed to read, and within hours my question about the white feather was answered. The white feather was about letting me know that the angels are around me, the universe has my back, and things are going to flow as they're meant to be, for my highest good and my highest healing. That perspective and these three particular books are why I really am good with the fact that these people didn't call me, and I am immensely grateful. I'm focused on my blessings. I am focused on gratitude and everything that is currently happening in my life. Now, honestly, would I be happier if my YouTube channel was much bigger? And if you notice down below, I'm still below 40 subs at the time of this video, and this is now video 43, meaning comically I have more videos than subs. But as I've also mentioned, YouTube has been a major change for me. Coming out of my shell, having confidence to sit in front of a camera and speak, on top of all the different things you have to know in terms of YouTube. So I decided to test whether I was on the right track in terms of the white feather message from The Power of Angel Medicine. So yesterday I went back to reading The Practical Psychic, and I read 60 more pages in that book, and no, I'm not surprised there is not a single mention of a white feather in the book. In other words, this time I was right, and I went in the direction that I should have to get the information that I needed. Having said that, I also then started, after I finished The Power of Angel Medicine, I started Waking Up in 5D. And I really enjoy these books and the designs that they have on them. But again, and this is by Maureen J. St. Germain. And again, it was the right time to pick up the book and just more validation and confirmation that staying in that positive, move forward headspace is definitely the right place to be. And it's interesting because as I began this book, and for an unusual change, I don't have notes this time, I started highlighting, but it's also interesting because it's come up with more things that I can put on a flashcard and put around my house as a reminder to get back into that headspace. So I found it quite fascinating that once again, as with so many of my books, there isn't just that connection of information and staying on the right track. It's connected to other books that I have, which I personally enjoy. The point of making this video is sometimes we get a blip or a hiccup in life, and it could be very easy to get caught up and feeling less than good about ourselves because of the different situations or choices that other people make that impact choices that we want to make. Years ago, had this particular situation played out as it did this past week, it would definitely have knocked me for a loop. I can honestly say this time it hasn't even been a blip in my world. And I am so grateful for that because it helps me realize how far I have come on my personal journey with my sense of well-being and self-esteem and self-confidence. Because I know the fact that these people didn't get back to me isn't about me or my worth. It's about them and whatever is going on in their personal spaces right now. It gives me the opportunity to permanently close a door in that particular field. When you keep getting the same message in different ways, it's time to pay attention. I know there are good things coming in the future. This morning I was thinking about how different my life is compared to a year ago in November. At this time last year, I was still debating about what to do with my business, which had been struggling because of all the closures with COVID and trying to find new clients. We were mourning the passing of our beautiful little Cedric. We were close to the first anniversary of her passing. We had lost her daughter Ghost in 2020 as well. And we were just months away from having lost our beautiful Shadow, who is Panther's brother. So we'd been through a hell of a lot in a few years. We had the grieving of 3 of our precious children. It was a very challenging, difficult time. I had no idea in terms of where I was going with a career or motivation. I have physical disabilities. That means as much as I would like to work and be out and about, I cannot apply for just anything. So for now, YouTube is kind of my reason for getting out of bed in the daytime. And it's teaching me a lot of skills and a lot of things, whether that leads to maybe a job opportunity or something elsewhere. I don't know. All I know is right now I am, all sarcasm aside, truly living the dream. The universe is always pointing me in the right direction, and as long as I remember to be mindful and observant and pay attention and keep my thoughts on moving forward and everything is unfolding the way it needs to, I know I'm eventually going to, like this morning, look back months down the road and go, wow, look how far I've come and how amazing is this life. It is my hope that if you've managed to watch this far, you will have some inspiration as well if maybe you're in a blip or a dip right now. You are worthy, and wherever your life is at this moment is where it needs to be. Remember, bad times don't always last. Reach out to people. Talk to who you know is going to help inspire and uplift you. But most of all, talk to yourself. Because you are the one and your opinions are the ones that matter the most. Whether you find books to help you get that inspiration, whether you do self-talk to get that inspiration, or you have a support group or friends that you can reach out to, just be sure that you do it and know that you are valued and appreciated and so important to this world. Let me know in the comments below if any of what I've been babbling about has been helpful for you. Until next time,